Hi there, welcome to 90% Knitting. This is episode 310 and I'm Lisa, also known as Fibronym on pretty much all of social media. Today's Friday, April 5th, and I am coming to you from our mountain home here in the Laurel Mountains of southwestern Pennsylvania, where it is overcast and it's been rainy off and on all day, and it's only about 40 degrees, so it's not really very pleasant outside. But spring is trying to be here, so I'll be happy with that. We did have snow, though, within the last week. That was ridiculous. I think it was last weekend. It didn't last, obviously, but still, it's like, enough already. So, yeah, but this is typical weather for this time of year here. Not pleasant, but it is what it is. Anyway, a couple of disclaimers that I will start the podcast with. Number one, it's later in the day again today. It's almost 4 o'clock, and I don't know what time my husband's getting home today. So if I keep glancing over my shoulder again this week, that's probably why, because I'll hear something and I'll think, oh, he's coming, and I'll have to pause the podcast to curtail the animals, the pets, from going crazy and making noise. But I actually think he probably won't be home until after I'm done, because he needed to stop at the store where we get all our pet food and everything, because we're like dangerously low on cat food right now, which with 6 cats in the house, you don't want to run out of cat food. It could be very dangerous. Although we've got plenty of dog food, so the cats could always just eat the dog. Or not. So anyway, he was going to do that after work today, so he probably won't be home until I'm done recording. But I just thought I'd give you the heads up in case I suddenly have to pause in the middle of a sentence or something. The other thing that I will tell you up front is I may be squinting a lot today because I don't have my contacts in. The last 2 days, my right eye has been really red. It's not like pink eye or anything. It's just I've had like this, I'm flirting with some sort of a bug or something, I guess. My stomach's been weird the last couple of days. I've been really congested, and so sometimes I just end up with a red eye. Related to a cold. I've had this off and on all my life. I get that occasionally, and been to the eye doctor enough to know what it is, so I don't really worry about it too much. Just put lots of warm compresses on my eye while it's really red, and eventually it gets better. And it is looking much, much better than it was yesterday, I'll tell you that. But I decided to leave my contacts out again today to give my eye a break and not irritate it. So my vision is not bad enough that I cannot see like the screen like in front of me. Like I can see me on the screen and everything's fine. If I look past the camera to the outside, that's all fuzzy. But the other thing is my laptop is sitting here to the right of me where my show notes are, and that's a little fuzzy because I did make the print larger, but if I squint and I can't act like I can't see, it's probably because I can't see, and I'm not vain. That's not why I'm not wearing my glasses. I just didn't want to wear my glasses because, number one, it would glare. Number two, my glasses are like 5.5 years old, my newest ones, and they're nowhere close to my current eye prescription. I really need to get bifocals. I hate to spend the money on glasses because I just don't wear them enough. I get up in the morning, I can function fine without them until I'm awake enough to put my contacts in, and then I wear my contacts all day. So for the amount of time that I tend to wear my glasses ever, I just feel like it's so much money to spend on glasses. So I don't know. I don't know why I'm telling you that, except to say I'm not wearing my glasses and I can't see because I don't have my contacts in and things are fuzzy. So hopefully I won't squint too much. We're off to a great start. Let's see. Anything else? Let me tell you also up front that I'm going to be vending next weekend in Allentown, PA at the Allentown Fiber Festival, and that will be on Saturday and Sunday. I will link to all the information about that. But the reason I'm mentioning it now rather than in shop news is the fact that we will be leaving on Friday, and so I definitely will not be recording another podcast episode until after I get back from Allentown next week. So this is it until after Allentown. Just giving you that heads up in case you're wondering where I'm at, because I know you would worry. But if you're going to be at the Allentown Fiber Festival, please stop by my booth and say hi. I'm going to be in the big tent that is going to be in the upper parking lot area. So please come by and say hi, and I'll talk a little bit more about that once we get to the show or the shop section of the podcast. I think that's everything I needed to talk about starting out. So let's get into the knitting. I do have a couple of finished objects this week. I finished... Let's see, where is it? I've got it here. Okay. I've got it here. Isn't that awesome, since this is a podcast about knitting? I finished the movie hat that I had been working on. I'm calling it another movie hat because I cast it on when I went to see a movie with my son, I don't know, a month or so ago. And here it is. I don't know that I'm going to leave this pom-pom on it. I just sort of stuck it on there because I wanted to see what it would look like. So during the movie, I knit the ribbing, and it's doubled so you can fold it up. I knit a lot of the ribbing and then changed colors because I'm knitting this. This is my Cozy base, which is my Cozy worsted, superwash worsted base. And I'm just using scraps. I've got a whole basket of worsted weight scraps, like DK and worsted weight, that I just have in the yarn room, and I pull them out to make things. So this is a hat using scraps, and that's always nice. But anyway, my original plan was it was just going to be a plain vanilla hat, but of course, me being me, you can see how far I got in plain vanilla before I'm like, this needs to have a texture. And so I started playing with this texture, and I really like it, and eventually I'm going to write this up and it's going to be an actual pattern. But for right now, it is not. It is just a hat, and yeah, so eventually I will have a pattern for this. And this pom-pom is just super fun. I didn't have a pom-pom that was a really close match to any of the colors in this yarn. This is sand. This was just a one-off colorway that I dyed a long time ago. I've never been able to repeat it, which I've had requests because I can't remember what I made out of it. I might have made my sample of my Rambler cowl pattern out of this. So I've had it at shows and people are like, oh, I like that color. Do you have that? And I'm like, no. Which is why I try not to take samples to shows that aren't in colorways that I can not repeat. Anyway, so the pom-pom, isn't this fun? I love this pom-pom. I have a whole bag of these. I bought these from Threadhead Knits on Etsy. So I will link that shop in the show notes as well. They are faux fur, so nothing was harmed in the making of this pom-pom except fake animals. So that's a hat. Yay. I also finished another hat, which I can't show you because I got so excited about it being done that I immediately plunged it into water earlier today to block it. And then I'm like, oh, I was going to maybe record today, but it's really too wet to show you. So I'll show it to you next time. But it is also what was actually a movie hat because my son and I, again, I told you we went to a movie this week on Wednesday, and I didn't really have anything good on the needles that would be good movie knitting. So again, I just took yarn with me and I thought I'll just, I'll have time I can cast a hat on. So what I ended up casting on was a fingering weight hat, which is weird because I don't really knit fingering weight hats very often. But I had taken a couple of partial skeins of my Ridgetop Fingering, which is my non-superwash base, the Romney Falkland blend, because I don't have any, well, that's not true. I have one fingering weight sample for my booth right now, and that's a shawl that I had a sample knitter, Christine, thank you, knit for me a couple months ago, and it's beautiful, but I wanted something that was color work, because that was actually my original reason for deciding to get this yarn milled for my shop, was to be able to do color work with the fingering weight. So I really wanted a color work sample, and I did not have, like, those mitts that I started, they didn't turn out, so I never finished those. So anyway, I thought, well, I'll start a hat. Like, I can at least do the ribbing of a hat in the movie, right? Okay, well, I can't keep anything simple. I actually cast this hat on, and I was alternating colors doing ribbing in a movie. What's miraculous is I managed to do this, and I even did the cast on in the movie because I didn't have time ahead of time to cast it on. I managed to do this without really screwing it up. I think there was one row that I did something a little bit weird, but you can't tell. So I'm calling it good. So yeah, I was really pretty impressed with myself on that. But anyway, I did the ribbing, and it was not doubled over ribbing. It was just like 1.5 inches or so of ribbing. And then I brought it home, and I had done a few rounds of straight in what was ending up to be the main color. And that was it. And I thought, you know what? I want to do color work instead of just stripes. And so I needed to find a good color work pattern that would fit with the stitch count that I cast on, because that was the other thing. I didn't really have a plan. I just cast on a number of stitches that I thought would be good for this particular yarn. And so I thought, well, maybe I can incorporate the, you know, color work motif from this pattern or whatever, but nothing really lined up stitch count wise, and I didn't want to have to modify other people's color work charts. So I thought, you know what, this will just be easier if I make my own thing up. So that's what I did. Yesterday I designed a color work motif, and this morning I started working on that, and I sat and I finished this color work hat in about 4 hours this morning. I just plowed through it. And I thought, you know what, this is my work for today. I'm finishing this hat. And I love it. It turned out great. But like I said, I got super exuberant, and I'm like, I have to block this right now. And so it's downstairs drying, and I can't show it to you, and it probably will not be dry enough to even take a decent picture of by the time I'm editing this podcast. So you'll see it next time. But that is a second finished object for this week. And again, it's a fingering weight color work hat that I essentially knitted, I would say, all together in less than 7 hours from start to finish. If I add up all the time, because probably about 2.5, 3 hours while we were at the movie. Yeah, probably about 2 hours at the movie. And then at least 4 hours today. It might have been a little bit more than 4 hours, because I was designing as I was going, so I was sort of tinking back in certain places. Yeah, I would say 7 to 8 hours. So it was a fast knit, quite honestly. And I have it all written out. I'm going to send it to a tech editor this weekend, and hopefully I'm going to have that back by the end of the weekend. And I would love to have a couple of test knitters who would be willing to like bang out a fingering weight color work hat early next week, because if I could put some kits together to take this to Allentown with me next week, that would be absolutely fabulous. I love having a new kit or something to take with me to shows, and I don't for this particular show, so that would be really kind of fun, actually. But yeah, I'll just put that out there. If there's anybody who, when you see this, you think you could do a fingering weight color work hat. It's a slightly slouchy hat. It's not super fitted. And I do have it written for 2 different sizes, but they're both adult sizes. Like one's a smaller one and one's a little bit bigger one. But if you think you could get that like knit between Monday and Wednesday, or Monday and Thursday even, that would be awesome. I have the yarn all dyed up. I would just have to divide it into half skeins, because it would take, I used less than a half a skein of fingering weight yarn in the 2 different colors. You need 2 different colors, contrasting colors, and I used semi-solid. So anyway, I'll just throw that out there. If you think you might be interested in doing that, email me, fibernymph@gmail.com, and tell me you'd be willing to be a crazy, speedy test knitter, and I would love you forever if you would. So, okay. Anyway, that's all about that project that I can't even show you. So, since that brings us to the end of March, I know it's the beginning of April, but since March is now over, and that's all my finished objects, I did update my spreadsheet. So, let's see. There's a lot of stuff crossed off on this spreadsheet. Alright, so everything in purple is stuff that I've finished this year. And this first page is all WIPs. So this is all things that were WIPs before January 1st. Let's see. I'm sorry. I should have paid attention to this a little bit more before I came out here. The only thing... Oh, that's the weird thing. Okay, so the only thing that I actually finished that was a WIP in March was the hippie Christmas socks, which I already showed you. Everything else had been finished prior to March. I did end up frogging, which I told you. I frogged the Merriam Bright socks. I already told you that. I think I'm frogging the S'mores Swirl sample socks just because there's not enough there to even call it a started sock, and I ripped most of it out. And so that's probably going to go by the wayside. I'm going to talk about it in a minute, but I am working on my Hallo-Pi socks that I've had on the needle since September of 2016, but they're not done yet. But other than that, everything else on this page, that will leave 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pairs of socks, 1 shawl, a sweater, the Tabbouleh sweater, which I will work on. I'm just not in the mood for it right now. My Holy Sock Holy, H-O-L-E-Y, sock repurposing project where I cut up all those socks and I was going to kind of try to sew it together into a poncho. That's my latest plan. 3 blankets. So my handspun log cabin Afghan, which I have not been working on at all. My mini granny squares blanket, which I have not been working on at all and probably will not finish it as an Afghan. And then my granny stripes blanket. My granny stripes blanket, that is definitely, I think I mentioned, that's one of the things I'm definitely planning on finishing. As a matter of fact, Steph from Knitting Samurai and her guys, I just watched her latest podcast this morning, and I can't remember all the details, but I know she talked about she's doing a knit-along for like blankets and Afghans, I think. I don't know the details. I have to go look in her group and see. I'm assuming that WIPs are allowed, but maybe not. If they're not, then it doesn't matter. But if it is, then maybe I will try to get my Granny Stripes blanket finished in the time frame of her knit-along. I would really like to just get it done. I told you that last time. I just would like to have it finished, because once that's finished, I think the next blanket that I will really focus on getting done is that hand-spun log cabin Afghan. I have a lot of squares for it, and I would really like to get it finished. Anyway, the new cast-ons for 2019, however, which are on this page, are way, way more prolific. I finished a whole bunch of things this week. This month, March. My serendipitously fading pullover, which you saw last time, and thank you so much for all your kind comments on that. Another movie hat, which I just showed you, which technically I finished on April 1st, but I'm counting it right now. The Cable Crush cowl, which I showed you last time. The Pie a la Mode socks, which I showed you last time. And the Positivity socks, which I showed you last time. Those were all finished. Oh, and the Inspiration socks, but those were already done. Those all got finished in March and the very, very beginning of April. So all told, I have knit 7,610 yards this year. That's crazy. That's not including that fingering weight colorway work hat that I just finished this morning, because again, having been so quick to dump it in the water, I never even weighed it to figure out how many yards of yarn I used for it. So I'll have to do that after it's blocked. So I couldn't add my yardage in on that one. But anyway, 7,610 yards is over half the yardage that I knit in all of last year. And it's only the end of March, early April. So I'm super happy with that. Now, I have to say, out of all the rest of the projects that are on this spreadsheet, oh, the Sweet Fern mitts are also on here. They always hit the top of this other page, so they're not on with the rest of the WIPs, the old WIP projects. Out of all these projects on here, I really don't think, other than the Hallo-Pi socks and the Granny Stripes blanket, I don't see myself working on any of those old WIPs anymore at this point. None of them are really like calling to me. I know I'll get to them eventually, but I just don't see myself really pushing on any of those other projects right this moment. So you may not see this, I may not show you this spreadsheet again for a few months since the whole point of this was to keep track of my WIPs, but I will update you eventually on it. And I always show you what I'm finishing anyway, but that's where we're at with the spreadsheet at this point. So I'm pretty happy. The first 3 months of this year were extremely prolific and really helpful for getting WIPs done, and I'm so happy about that. I will mention the WIP Stravaganza thread in the Fiber Nymph Dye Works group on Ravelry is still open, and I'm leaving that open all year. There hasn't been very much chatter in there. I think there were like 2 posts since the last time I did a prize drawing in there, so I did not do one for this month. But please feel free, if you're working on any like languishing projects, I'd love to hear about them, because I know most of us have at least 1 or 2 things that have been hanging around for a long time, and if we don't decide we want to frog them, then, you know, maybe we'll want to work on them. So just remember that thread's there if you'd like to talk about anything that you're working on in the WIP, the old WIP category. It's there. You can share it with us. All right, let's move on to current WIPs that I have worked on. Quite frankly, other than the obsession I had with finishing that hat this morning, pretty much the only thing I've spent a lot of time on in this past week was my Beekeeper cardigan. I'm so happy with this project. It is coming along really well. I have posted a couple pictures to my personal Instagram account, so if you follow me there, you've seen it. But yeah, I'm through the top part of the sweater, and I separated for the sleeves, and I'm now about, I would say, 7 inches, that's probably about 7 or 8 inches below the armholes. So it's coming along great. I've tried it on a couple of different times. It fits really well. It's really nubbly right now. I mean, this is definitely a sweater that is going to have to be blocked to, you know, smooth out and open up this texture. But I really love the texture. The little bees just are so cute, and I think it looks like honeycomb, and it's just lovely. And I'm so enjoying working with this yarn. This is my Ridgetop DK, which is the Romney Falkland blend, non-superwash, in the warm honey colorway, and it's just a joy to work with. And I'm sorry. This sweater, the pattern is the Beekeeper cardigan by Marie Green, who's Olive Knits, and the pattern is written a little weird. I think I mentioned this last time. Like, in the beginning, it's very, very explanatory, almost to the point of being more explanation than I really feel like I needed. But then once you get into it and you're just like kind of repeating what you need to do over and over, I had a little trouble wrapping my head around it the way it was written. Like, I could look at it and I knew what I had to do and how I had to do it, but I couldn't get that to jive with what she had written down. So eventually I just finally had to ignore what she had written down, and I made my own little notes to know what I had to do, and it worked fine, and I did it correctly. So I didn't make anything up. I didn't abandon the pattern. I just had to put it in my own words so that I could follow it. It's a really memorizable pattern as far as I'm concerned. It is a 12-row repeat, but it's really, I think of it as a 6-row repeat, because you're doing the same 6 rows, then you do them again, but you're just offsetting them. So they're staggered. But it's really the same thing over and over again. So yeah, it's been great fun to work on. I don't know what else to say about it. I can't wait to have it done. I love it. I'm really very, very confident that I will be able to get this sweater finished before I go to Allentown next weekend, which will be great because then I'll have it as a sample, either to wear or just to have on my mannequin, one or the other. It doesn't really matter. But I would really like to have a garment there as a sample because, again, one of my main reasons for getting this yarn, this non-superwash yarn milled for my shop, was garmentry as well. So fingering weight, I really was thinking color work. The DK weight, I was really thinking garments. So I would love to build up some garments in this yarn to have as samples, and this will be the first one. So I'm happy. I don't think there's anything else I can tell you. Oh yes, I can. Yes, there's one other thing, and this isn't really knitting related, and I also shared this on Instagram, but I was on the Kohl's website because I don't need to be shopping for clothes, but I was just browsing and I found this. Oh my gosh, do you see the print? Bees. Bees. And look, okay. I'm holding this up super weird, but like, look at the colors. Like, I'm going to be wearing this top under this sweater. Just saying. It was perfect. It was the most perfect top in the world for this sweater, and I couldn't be happier. So, yay. Okay, I think that's everything about the Beekeeper cardigan. Again, that's by Marie Green, who designs under the name Olive Knits. Olive, O-L-I-V-E, not all of. The only other thing I worked on is the Hallo-Pi socks, which is one of my pie colorways. It was my Halloween pie colorway that I did a few years ago, 2016 to be exact. So this had been my car project that I'd just been leaving in my car and working. So this is the first sock tube. These are all variegated stripes. They're tonally variegated, so you know, the black and the gray, and then there's 2 different purples and 2 different oranges and 2 different yellows and 2 different greens and all the stripes. I really love this colorway. It's super fun. It's a great Halloween colorway. And I have that first tube done, and this is how far I am on the second one. So I'm about halfway done on the second tube. And yeah, so I'm going to leave this in the house now because this is a good project for me to have just sitting at the dining room table so I could work on it, you know, at breakfast time, or well, when my husband's having breakfast and I'm having coffee with him before he goes to work early in the morning, or at dinner time. It's just a good project for those times rather than my sweater, which I probably could work on at this point because like I said, I've got it very memorized. I don't think I would get confused or anything, but it's easier to not have multiple balls of yarn out when I'm at the table because our one cat has been super needy lately, and every time I sit down at the table, he jumps up and wants to be right in my face, which makes knitting very difficult, but it makes having multiple balls of yarn out even more difficult. So yeah, I'm keeping it simple. So anyway, that's pretty much it for the knitting. I've done very little spinning. I think I spun maybe one day and not that much. So my spinning doesn't look too much different. No other crafting going on. Again, the majority of my crafting time, except for today, has been on that sweater. And that's probably how it's going to continue to be until that sweater is finished. As far as anything else coming up, I do need some projects to have with me next week when I go to Allentown. It's probably going to be about a 5-hour drive, I would say, from here to Allentown. So Bill will probably do that driving. He's usually pretty good about that, which will give me car knitting time. The sweater should already be finished. So I will probably take, I want to say I'll probably take the Hallo-Pi socks to work on, at least in the car. I won't knit on these in my booth just because I don't have this yarn with me. I think what I'm going to do, though, I mentioned last time I want to cast on some shorty socks. So that's probably what I'm going to take with me, because in my languishing WIP bin, I actually have yarn in there as well as, you know, projects in process. I've got some yarn in there for socks that I was going to start for myself, at least a year ago, and it is a sport weight. It's in one of my summery colorways, so I think I'll take that and I'll just dye some of that up and make sure I have that in my booth so I can work on that and people can buy it if they want to. I think it's the Summertime Blues colorway. It's one of the blue stripy colorways. So I think I will take those along. But I don't know what else I'll take along for car knitting. I would like to have something. I'm not going to take the Afghan. The Granny Stripes Afghan's too big to do. It needs to be something that I don't have to think too much about. So I don't know. I could take yarn to work on the hand spun log cabin squares. That's a really good project to travel with. So I might do that. I don't know. We'll see. Stay tuned. I'll let you know next time I record after Allentown. The Craft What You Love Along has been running since Valentine's Day, February 14th, and it ended on March 31st. We had 145 posts. I'm sorry, I have to read this off my screen. 145 posts in the chatter thread, and there were 64 posts in the FO thread. Plus there were 51 posts on Instagram tagged with the tag for the Craft What You Love Along. So I have got prize winners, one each from each of those categories, which means there are 4 prizes to choose from. So if you are one of the winners that I'm about to announce, and you hear your name, please PM me on Ravelry. In the case of the Instagram winner, feel free to DM me on Instagram in the Fiber Nymph Dye Works account. I will eventually post there too, or at least contact you through Instagram to let you know that you were the winner. I usually do that directly. I did not in this case. I don't know why not, but I will. I will let you know on Instagram that you were a winner as well, in case you don't see it here. But otherwise, the ones from the Ravelry group, the 2 threads, you need to PM me and let me know that you won. And all of the winners, regardless of where you were a winner from, please let me know what your top, I will say top 3 choices, prize choices are in order of what you would like. And whenever I hear back from you, they're always first comes, first served. So whoever I hear back from first gets their first choice. Second, they'll get their first choice that's still available, and so on. There's a mourning dove out on the deck, and it's just staring at me. That's so weird. Anyway, so the prize options for the Craft What You Love Along winners are as follows. The first one is a skein of Bedazzled in lime green. It's a really pretty springy semi-solid, which would make something super fun. I've got a skein of my Ridgetop, the fingering weight. Now this is my non-superwash, the Romney Falkland blend. This is fingering weight 400 yards, and this is in the dark berry with gray overtones colorway. This one is a non-repeatable colorway. That's really super pretty. I like that. I have a sock blank, which is Mermaid Bed. So it's a very turquoisey tonal with speckles. And lastly, I have a set of Deco Lace Mitts. The kit, Deco Lace Mitts, is a pattern by Sarah Jordan, and it comes with the pattern download code as well as the yarn to make the mitts, and this is the earthenware red and bronze green color combination, and that is also on Bedazzled. So those are the 3 prizes, and now I'm going to let you know who the winners were, or the 4 prizes. I always do an extra so that everybody has a choice. So the Instagram winner, out of 51 posts that were tagged with the Craft What You Love Along tag, random number generator chose number 4, so I counted and got to post number 4, which that was the easy one, and that was posted by Aramati Casper. Aramati-Casper. I believe Aramati is your first name from what your Instagram page looks like. If I've got that wrong, I apologize. But Aramati Casper, you are my Instagram winner. So when you see this, please either PM me on Ravelry or DM me on Instagram and let me know what your top 3 prize choices are, and also give me your full mailing address, your name and mailing address, so that I can get your prize sent out to you. Okay, so now from the chatter thread on Ravelry, there were 145 posts. The first one was mine, so I did random number generator for 2 through 145, and we got post number 54, and that is Moosloon. So congratulations, Moosloon. You are one of our winners. Again, please PM me on Ravelry. Let me know your full mailing address and what your top 3 prize choices are. And lastly, our finished object thread winner from the 63 posts of finished objects, because again, the first post was mine. ended up being post number 12, and that is Nicole S. So congratulations, Nicole. Again, same drill. Please PM me on Ravelry. Let me know your full mailing address and your top 3 prize choices, and I will get whichever one is available out to you. Congratulations to all of you, and thank you to everybody who took part in that knit-along. I know sometimes the longer knit-alongs that go more than a month don't always stay exciting, but it was really fun getting to see what you guys were working on and what you loved. I enjoyed seeing that too, so thank you so much for taking part. I am going to hold off on starting any more knit-alongs right now, or any more alongs in general, other than the Fiber Exchange and Spinalong, which I'll talk about in a minute. Mainly because I have a lot going on. I've got a show next weekend. I've got a big show, Needles Up, at the beginning of May, and then I've got a really big show at the very beginning of June, and I'm going to be away on vacation 9 days in the middle of all of that. So I just don't think I'm going to have the mental bandwidth available to be doing all of the work I need to be doing to prep for those shows. I still have a club to ship out in the middle of all that as well. I've got a wholesale order to get done. I've got a lot going on. So I'm going to hold off on starting any more alongs. But please remember that the WIP Extravaganza thread is always there. There's also, you can always just generally chatter. I may start just a general chatter thread. We haven't had one for a while. Because I would love to just see what you guys are working on, and I'd like to continue the chatter. We have the monthly makes going on as well, but that's more specifically a Fiber Nymph Dye Works along, so I don't like to assume that everybody wants to participate in that, but that is another option for you as well. But I will have a new along of some sort happening once I get through the beginning of June. So we'll have something to look forward to. Stay tuned. But to get back to the Fiber Exchange and Spinalong, I did have several people reply in that thread on Ravelry that they are still interested in taking part. Thank you for letting me know that. So I will put together the sign-up questionnaire, and I'll have that up sometime this weekend. So you can be looking in that thread for the link to that. And then we shall be pretty good to move on with the time frame that I mentioned last time. I don't remember what that is because I don't have it written down here again, but it is described in the thread on Ravelry. So that is the one where you will be exchanging half a braid of fiber with a partner. You'll each spin your respective halves of your fiber and your partner's fiber, and then compare the results. That's a really brief thumbnail sketch of what that along is about. But I think it'll be fun. I can't wait. I'm looking forward to taking part of that as well. I do have some new things I wanted to share with you. I had them last week and I just didn't have time to show them to you. So I think I will do that now. Let me see here. Sorry. I splurged a little bit and bought some yarn from Woolly Mammoth. She is located in Northern Ireland, and that's kind of what I mean by splurge, because anytime I buy something from overseas, it feels like a splurge because of the shipping involved. I mean, it's the same thing for those of you who live in another country and purchase from the U.S. I mean, I realize the shipping is a little more costly than buying it, at a more local or from another dyer that's in your same country. But anyway, I got these from Emma at Woolly Mammoth. Aren't they beautiful? She does her dyeing. It's natural dyeing. So these are all plant dyed. These are 50% BFL, 50% Cheviot. So it's 100% wool. These are not superwash. She does not put on here what the colorway, what she used to dye the colors. And I'm sure she probably talked about it whenever she showed them on her podcast. I don't really remember though. This one is called Orchid, and this is just a one-of-a-kind colorway. But I think they're both beautiful. I don't know what they'll become, but I was very curious about the base to try that out. So it's very soft. I'm looking forward to making something out of those together. I also, more locally, or domestically, I guess, I got some yarn from another crafty girl who is Sarah. and she's here in the US, and she is a wonderful dyer. I've got several skeins of her yarn in my stash, but these are both sport weight, and I just think they'll be super fun for socks. I may end up taking one of these with me next weekend too to cast on socks, shorty socks for myself. I don't know yet, but I haven't taken them out of the bag yet. But aren't they fun? They're such fun, bright colors. I probably should take them out of the bag so I can tell you what the colorway names are. Sorry, I didn't think about that ahead of time. So let's see. This one, this is on her Strong Sport base, which is an 80/20 superwash merino nylon 3-ply sport weight. This one is called Floating Lanterns. And this one, same base, is called Boomerang Fish. I do not know what those references are, if they are something specific. I know she tends to do a lot of, like, I know she had, like, Muppet themed yarns, and because I had Cookie Monster, I made Cookie Monster socks from her. So she had, like, sort of pop culture-y, maybe, like, anime kind of colorways, I want to say. Video games, I think maybe she does video game colorways. I don't know. I don't know what the references are, but I really love the colors, so that's why I purchased them. And then I also got a skein from Kristen at Wool and Vine. I saw a picture of, like, one of her, her one-of-a-kind, I think she calls them free swim colorways, maybe, and this was called Amphibian. So it's a non-repeatable colorway, but I just thought it was beautiful. And this is on her Footsie base, which is her 80/20 Superwash BFL and nylon blend. Isn't that pretty? Love those colors in there. So, anyway, that's some new things. I will say I have a few more new things coming to me in the mail. And going to Allentown next week, I can guarantee you I will be bringing some new things home because there are a lot of vendors there that I really like. And there's probably ones there that I don't know that I like yet, but I'll find out when I get there. So, we'll see. Alright, I think that's everything in 90%. 10%, in addition to the movie, I really can't say that I did very much. What did I do? I did finish The Beach House, which was the audiobook I was listening to. I can't remember the name of the author. It was an Audible book. I got hooked on reading it because Audible offered me some sort of romance package, free trial, 30 days. Romance is not a genre that I typically read. But for whatever reason, this book sounded interesting. Like, the plot line was, there was a mother, like an elderly mother and middle-aged daughter dynamic that I thought that could be interesting. But then the whole story was very predictable for the most part, you know. The romance at least wasn't like the throbbing and heaving kind. It was much more constrained than that, or not as explicit as that. But yeah, honestly, I'm not going to say anything else because I don't want to spoil it if you want to read it, but it wasn't super exciting to me. There's a sequel, apparently. I won't be listening to it, and I will be canceling my romance package that I have through Audible because I don't foresee me really wanting to read any more romances anytime soon. Anyway, that being said, I'm actually not listening to too many books right now actively. I've still been listening to Ology's podcast, although I've sort of slowed down on that, not for any particular reason, just that hasn't been my thing. Listening to a lot of music on Pandora. And I started binging sort of Psych episodes. The TV show Psych, it's now streamable on Amazon Prime. The first 8 seasons are anyway, and I love that TV show. So I've been watching a lot of Psych because it makes me happy. So anyway, that's really all I've been doing in my 10%-ish. But since March is over, I will just check in with you on my life goals, how they went in March. March, I said I was going to continue to try to be mindful of how I use my time. I feel like I was pretty good at that. I've been doing pretty well with that all year, so I'm happy with that. Still plugging my phone in at night over in the yarn room rather than having it right by my bed, and I've really started to like doing that because I plug it in earlier in the evening, so I have a good hour or two without my phone on or without my phone near me, and I feel like that has really just helped my mental state, can unwind a little better. I don't know that I sleep any better because I've never really had too much of a problem sleeping aside from like the occasional bout of insomnia, but that's not super often. But I still think it's a good practice. I did absolutely nothing again to work on strengthening my lower back, hip, and core muscles. I'm going to just leave that one off for this month because clearly I'm not doing anything. However, I did track my food pretty well through the whole month, and I feel like that was a really good thing. So I felt very successful at doing that, and I will continue doing that because it does keep me more mindful of what I'm putting in my mouth, which I think is important. So for April, that is one of my goals, is to continue tracking my eating. For this month, with regard to how I'm using my time, I'm actually more specifically going to focus on list making and trying to keep myself on a schedule as far as getting work done. Because again, going into this really busy time now through early June, I don't have any time to waste. Like, I really need to stay on top of stuff because we also have like a little bit of fun stuff going on. Again, we're going on vacation. It's going to be a motorcycle trip, which I'll talk about that closer to that time. Coming up, that's going to be 9 days away. And then we've got little things here and there that'll just take parts of days. And I just need to be able to enjoy those and not be stressing that, oh, I should be working. You know what I mean? So I just really want to continue to stay focused on using my time wisely. And at this point, list making will probably be my friend. I used to be a very big list maker. I made lists all the time. I've kind of gotten away from it because at this point I know what I need to do every day. But with all this stuff coming up and overlapping, I think it'll be good for me to, you know, kind of function from lists at least, like maybe a master list over the week or something. So we'll see how that goes. I'm just going to generally say I would like to start making some time for purposeful exercise. I don't know what form that will take. Since the weather is getting nicer, I would like to believe I could get out on my bicycle occasionally. It's still maybe a little too early to try to take my kayak out, although I did notice some boats out on our little lake, like fishermen in their rowboats the other day, but I'm not sure I'm ready to go out there. That water's cold, so we'll see. And I do need to start doing some spring cleaning activities here coming up. So we'll see how many of those I can squeeze into April. But anyway, other than that, we're at the end of the main part of the podcast. We're going to get into shop news. If you're not going to stick around for that, then I will see you next time I record, which again will be over a week since I won't be here next week at the end of the week. But if you would like to hear about some shop stuff, including the holiday mini collections, and about the monthly makes. I have monthly makes prize winners to announce for March and a few other things, then stick around. So let's talk about that stuff right now. First of all, I want to thank everybody who shopped my 8th anniversary shop update last week. Thank you so much. That was really a great update. I hope you are all enjoying the goodies that you got. I'm pretty sure everything's shipped out at this point. I had a couple things that I had to hold on to, but I think everything's out now. I don't have any more shop updates planned at this time for the month of April. I'm hoping I'll be able to squeeze one more in closer to the end of the month, but I can't guarantee that right now, but I will let you know once I do have one scheduled. What I am hoping to be able to do early next week is list some Easter colorways. I don't have a lot of Easter colorways, but I always like to put a couple of them up, and I realized, oh, Easter's just a couple weeks away, so I'm hoping to get at least a few skeins, well, a few skeins, more than a few skeins, but I want to get a couple colorways dyed up on at least a handful of skeins, so that way if anybody's interested in them, you have the opportunity to get them before Easter. I actually had an idea for a new one this year that I really, really want to do, so hopefully I will get that one done, and they'll be up there. The best place to see those, to hear about when those are up in the shop, will be on the Fiber Nymph Dye Works Instagram feed and on the Fiber Nymph Dye Works page on Facebook. Those are the two places I always put it. I'm hoping to get a newsletter out this weekend as well, so as long as I have the yarn done and dry and reskeined and I can take a picture of it, I'll have that in my newsletter as well. But other than that, there's no more update, and that won't be like a real update. I also, I'm hoping to have some more grab bags up in the shop soon, because I'm constantly adding things to the bin that has the grab bag stuff in it. So I've got enough in there. I might be able to put some grab bags together. So those should be coming out soon too. Again, Instagram and Facebook are the two best places to stay on top of that kind of timely stuff. The Holiday Harmony mini collections did go on sale starting April 1st. They're up for pre-order, not for sale. They're not shipping out now, obviously. But thank you to those of you who have already ordered. They're going to be up, the pre-orders are up all month. So you don't have to feel rushed. You know, if you don't have the money for it this week, but you still want to order it and get the 10% discount by paying the whole thing up front, you have all month to take advantage of that. If you know you'd rather pay for it in the 2 payments, then that's no problem either. You know, whenever you want to do it in April, they're there. I'm not planning on putting a limit on them. I'm doing this early enough that I should be able to accommodate whatever comes in. So yeah, that's there. Everything, all the information for that is on the website. Click on the tab at the top that says Holiday, the link. I also put all the information in a thread on Ravelry if you'd like to read about it there, and the link to the sign-up questionnaire is on there. That's the big difference this year. I'm not putting this as a shop listing. I am doing it as a sign-up questionnaire, kind of the way I do my clubs sign-ups, just because there's a lot of different options for you to choose from, and I want you to be able to customize your collections the way you want to, and I can't accommodate that in a shop listing. I can do that through the questionnaire. Once I get your questionnaire, I will send you a confirmation email letting you know what I got, what I have as your choices, how much it'll be, and then I'll send you a PayPal request for payment that way. And I've been giving like a 5-day payment window if you're paying up front. But, you know, as always, like if there's an issue, just PM me, or not really PM me, no, do not PM me about this. Email me. Email me, fibernymph@gmail.com. You can use, there's a contact link in the shop. Use that to get your email to me, and we'll make it work. So I want everybody to be able to get their holiday mini collections if they want them. Sorry, Bill just got home. Where was I? I was talking about prizes for the monthly makes. So I've got 3 prizes to offer you guys for this. One of them is an outdoorsy kit. I know I offered one of these recently, like in the last couple of months for some prize. I don't remember if it was for monthly makes, if it was for something else. But I've got another one. It's the pumpkin spice swirl and pumpkin orange color combination. So the outdoorsy is the thing you can wear like 4 different ways. It's a cowl, it's a headband, it's an ear warmer. So you get the pattern download code as well as the yarn. So that's one option. There is a skein of Cozy, my worsted weight base, in the Hemlock Trail. This is a self-striping, so that's another option. So the third prize is actually a skein of Hallo-Pi, which is weird because I don't usually have this at this time of year, but I had 1 skein left from last year's Halloween season. This is actually a skein. It's a one-off skein because this set had the stripes were, the colors were all shifted over one. So it's all the same colors. They're just not in the same order as the regular colorway, but they're all still there. They're all still the tonal variegated colorways, just like you saw whenever I showed you my socks earlier. So those are the 3 choices for the 2 prize winners for the monthly makes. So the chatter winner was drawn from posts 194 through 245 because those were the March posts, and instant number generator, random number generator chose post number 235, and that is Seductive Berry, who is Maria. So congratulations, Maria. You know the drill. PM me on Ravelry. Let me know your prize choice. I probably have your address, so she wins a lot. Anyway, so congratulations, Maria. Let me know what your top 2 prize choices are. And then from the FO thread, there were 22 posts in that thread for March. And so from post 2 through 22, random number generator chose post number 10, and that is Leaner, who is Eileen. So congratulations, Eileen. You can do the same thing. Please PM me when you hear this and let me know what your top 2 prize choices are and what your mailing information is as well, and I will get that out to you. So thank you so much. The April thread, the finished object thread, is open. right now, so feel free to post your April finished objects in there. The chatter thread is always open, and again, you get to, you know, get a prize drawing entry for every of your posts in there in the chatter thread, and I'll be drawing another Instagram winner this month as well. Oh, and also the Grand Grams Champ, the one where this is grams oriented, not post every month oriented. For the Grand Grams Champ, I am posting those grams totals for everybody who's participating. They're being posted at the very top of the chatter thread. So go into the Monthly Makes chatter thread, and up at the very top, it'll show up at the top of all of the chatter pages. The thread, you know what I'm talking about, hopefully. The pages in that thread, you'll see it up there. So right now it has February and March's grams for everybody who has participated to date with finished objects in the finished object threads, and then I have a total to date. And for March, I did list it so that it goes in order of the most number of points down to the least, so you'll see where you stand in the Grand Grams Champion competition. I don't know. It's just meant to be something fun. It's obviously not hardcore unless you really, really want to win that prize. So anyway, that's really all I have to tell you. Again, I'll be in Allentown at the Fiber Festival next weekend. If you're going to be there, please stop by my booth and say hello. I would love to see you. I will have sweater lots of my Ridgetop Fingering and Ridgetop DK at this show for the first time. I'm so excited to be bringing sweater lots. I've never brought sweater lots to shows before, so this will be the first time I'll have those there. So I'm looking forward to doing that. And again, if you would like a sweater lot of that yarn, you can submit a special order request. Just go into the website, go up to contact, and the special order request is under contact, and send that to me, and I'll be happy to work with you on doing that. Otherwise, I think that's everything. Again, please check in on the Fiber Nymph Dye Works page on Facebook, the Fiber Nymph Dye Works feed on Ravel or on Instagram. Those are the best places to stay attuned to what's going on as far as shop stuff. I'm trying to be as active as I can be on the Ravelry threads. I am still horribly behind in Ravelry messages, so if you really need to contact me and you need a reply, please email me. You won't be bothering me. That's the best way to get a hold of me. fibernymph@gmail.com. All right, I'm going to go. I hope you have a good rest of your, well, it's not really the rest of your week. It's kind of, enjoy your weekend and enjoy next week, and I will get back to you after the Allentown show, so it'll be a little over a week, but have a great time between now and then, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.